Hey guys, throughout season 1 we will be able to get our hands onto this item here 3 times. This item can be turned into a copy for any 5-star character of our choosing. In this video we're gonna go over every single character and every single copy of every single character and find out would it be worth investing copies into this character and how many copies deep should we go with our investment there. Now if you don't want to sit through this entire video and you do not want to watch every single character's copies and my takes on it, then I can give you a really quick answer right now, because you can treat it as an absolute no-brainer. You of course gonna use this item for any character that you are already invested in. For example, on this account right here, I'm fully committed to maxing out Veronica. As you know that in Chaos Zero Nightmare, you cannot just pull for every character, build every character, right? You do not have the resources. I explained that one multiple times. Playing this game one excessively since day one, and I haven't even maxed out one character yet. So you are, if you invest into a character, you are highly committed there for weeks and weeks and weeks. Over a month, basically. And so of course you gonna go for the copies for the character that you are invested in, right? Here as an example, on this account I'm invested into Veronica and second Mika. I have another account where I'm committed to Karin and Hugo. I have my third account where I'm committed to Karin and Tresa, you know what I mean? And of course you gonna use the copies for the characters that you are invested in. Needless to say, right? It's a no-brainer, as I said. Now you can take this as a general thing, because what would be the best characters in the game to invest these copies into? You of course gonna go for the best main DPS characters in the game. Main DPS characters are always the most important part of your team, and you want the most important part of your team that carries you to be as strong as possible. Now, if you watch my channel, you already know that the best main DPS characters in this game are Karin and Haru. So those two would be the general advice to invest your copies into. But now, let's take a look at every single character and figure out how deep we should actually go if we would decide to invest into said character. Starting off with Luke. And I can give you a little bit of a spoiler. There's another general rule that applies here. It is the case like it is in most gacha games. I'm playing Reverse 1999 for example, and the copies of characters there work exactly like they do here in Chaos Zero Nightmare. And that is that for most characters you go for either 1 copy or 2 copies, and then you're gonna stop there because it is not worth the investment to go any further. And it is in Chaos Zero Nightmare the exact same way, but much more simplified actually, because you will realize as we will go through these characters that Portrait 3 for example is pretty much always a boost to a character's ego skill, like this one right here. Look, 50% damage of lethal design, and the damage per card in hand is changed from 15 to 25%. Now you gotta know, hey, what is lethal design? You can either go check, or you can see this right here. It is called upgrade ego skill. It tells you right there. So that is something that you almost never want to do. You never want to upgrade or invest a copy, I should say, 3 copies in fact, to upgrade an ego skill. Because how often do you use these ego skill, right? It's maybe once per battle, if even that. Maybe you will have battles where you don't want to use Luke's ego skill, right? Where you don't want to use the ego skill with this character that you go 3 copies deep into. So that is pretty much always not gonna be worth the investment here. So you see where this is going. You are best off just going for 1 or 2 copies. Now we can actually start and taking a look. For what character should we get copies and how deep should we go? Here, 50% damage to finisher round. That is a mythical card upgrade. Handgun bullet card use condition changes from 5 to 4 cards. Okay, now you have to of course know what finisher round is. So you're gonna take a look. And as this here, it has the unusable effect. Says this card is unusable unless you used 5 handgun bullet cards, and then you will be able to use this card and deal 200% damage with it. So you want to use 5 handgun bullets as fast as you possibly can. To unlock this skill, it's very, very important. It's a key thing of Luke's kit. So here you reduce the cards from 5 to just 4, which means you will unlock this skill quicker, and you even increase the damage by 50%, which is quite a large margin. So here you can see copy number 1, Manifest Ego 01 is very, very good. So that is something that if you play Luke, you definitely want to get your hands onto this. Alright, now we can look at copy number 2. That says when Luke uses a bullet card 3 times, you create 2 additional handgun bullets. Cards created this way deal 50% less damage, and you can trigger only this effect once per turn. See, this is already something where we are not astonished. We are not like, whoa, this is great, right? Just as we were with copy number 1. This is actually super nuts. Great damage increase and unlocking his kit faster, playing around the core of his kit, and in a very nice way. Copy number 2, see, when we read this, we are not too impressed. So, see, if we now would decide to invest into Luke, we would stop at copy number 1. Because as well, copy number 3, as I explained, like upgrading the ego skill, not too recommended in the first place. Then here, in copy number 4, whenever Luke uses a bullet, gain target analysis. That is that for 1 round, Luke's bullet cards damage is increased by plus 10%, and you can stack this up to 4 times. Not bad, right? But look, in order for us to get to copy number 4, we would have to get copy number 2. Not too great. We would have get to copy number 3, not too great. And then this 10% damage for the bullets. You know, you see how the investment is not worth it here. Easy to see. You would be way better off investing copies into Luke's teammates compared to like Luke himself, except for portrait number 1, for this copy number 1. So this is where we're gonna stop with Luke. Okay, now we have figured out the basic premise as to how these copies for characters actually work. I will not go into that much detail for every single character that we will go over, otherwise we would be here for like 3 hours. Okay, but now we got the general premise, and now we can move on quicker to other characters. So let's check out Khalip. What is Khalip all about? She is about playing her vulture ejection card for free. So we want a copy here that increases the effect of what vulture ejection does. Let's see if we can find it. Add retain to absolute protection cards and increase the shield by 20%. I can tell you, I already checked, this is trash. Here, absolute protection, it gives you 100% shield. Sure, you can increase this the more AP you use for it, but a 20% increase, that is not gonna do anything by any means. So this copy number 1 is not gonna be worth it. Copy number 2 though says at the start of the battle and on shuffle, you move 1 vulture ejection card from the draw pile to the top of the draw pile. Every time from the start of the battle, and on every single shuffle, you are 100% guaranteed to draw into a vulture ejection. That is absolutely fantastic, right? And here you can see that if you commit 2 Khalip's copies, you do not just get one, you always gonna get two. If you only get one, that's a big waste. You always gonna get 2 copies if you commit into copies for Khalip. Then here, ego skill, talked about it, not gonna be worth it. Silver veil effect on deploy, not gonna be it, right? Here upgrade, yeah, we're not gonna go that far for characters that are not main DPS characters. So for Khalip, we're gonna stop and we're gonna go for, if we commit, to copy number 2. Then we have Magna, who is usually a character I would not recommend to anyone to even play her, because she's just not good enough, right? Here, her copy number 2 though is pretty gosh damn good. Adds Outbreak of War to the Storm of Bitter Cold. You know like how upgrade cards work if you watch my channel. So every single upgrade card, pretty much, that does not have the ability Outbreak of War to be in our starting hand 100% guaranteed is most of the times trash. Here, this one says, when gaining a shield via an ability, you gain a counter attack. To have this always 100% guaranteed in your starting hand is really good. It makes Magna a much more reliable, better and more consistent character. So we can already see and already tell that copy number 1 is what we're gonna get. And the chances are very high that we're gonna stop at copy number 1 because it's just that good. It won't get better than this. I can already guarantee you this without knowing what's coming up ahead. Let's check copy number 2 though. Here, Magna's counters inflict a freeze on the target. Freezes when taking damage from Magna's attack cards, the adjacent monsters take 50% defense-based damage. Freeze is removed upon the effect's activation. Okay, so whenever Magna inflicts a counter, that inflicts a debuff onto an enemy. And that enemy, if this is now attacked by an attack card from Magna, the other enemies would also take damage. Like the enemies in front and behind of the attacked character would take damage. Now, this is not good, because you can see the only attack cards that Magna actually has, and it has to be a Magna attack card, is Frozen Fist and Glacial Iron Fist, right? So 2 cards in her entire kit would trigger this effect, and that is only after she counter attacked a specific enemy. So yeah, that is not gonna be worth the investment of 2 copies. And then again, ego skill right here changes Magna's counter, so it no longer reduces vulnerable. That is complete ass, you know what I mean. And yeah, copy number 5 and 6 are always going to be good for every single character, but again, mostly not worth to go that far, especially for a character like Magna. That is never going to be worth it. So for Luke, we stop at 1. For Khalip, we have to go all the way up to 2, and for Magna, we're gonna stop at 1. Now it's time to take a look at Rin. 20% damage of Dark Mist Secret Art, Black Dance. What is that? Dark Mist Secret Art, Black Dance. Let's check it out. Dark Mist Secret Art, Black Dance. It's this one here. 20% more damage to this. It deals 80% damage. And then damage count according to the number of skill cards in your hand. Alright, it is just this one ability and it's only 20%. Not too impressive, if I'm gonna be honest. Let's check out copy number 2. If Rin obtains Dark Mist Stance, which you will always do, you create a Thief's Sword card. This effect can be triggered once every turn. Now, what is a Thief's Sword? This one right here. It deals 60% damage, plus 20% damage according to the number of Rin's attack cards used this turn. If no other Rin attack card is in hand, the cost is 0. That is actually a really good ability. If Rin obtains Dark Mist Sense, she will do this pretty much every single turn, so you'll always get this card into your hand. And it is a really good card. It can deal a whole bunch of damage. It works exactly around what Rin wants to do. So same scenario here as for Khalip. We do not just go for one copy. If we go for copies for Rin, we go for 2. Then yeah, upgrade ego skill, right? Yeah, the copies 3 to 6 are always going to be the exact same thing for every single character. So yeah, we will stop going over this. It is either 1 or 2 copies. If you want to commit for more, you're gonna go always at least for copy number 4, because copy number 3 is the ego skill upgrade that is almost never gonna be worth it. Cool. So Rin, 2 copies, don't stop at 1. Then we have this girl, what was her name? Orlea. Oh god, oh god. Okay, adds retain to the Will of Light. Retain is garbage. I know that this retain mechanic is what Orlea is really all about, pretty much. It's a huge, big part of her kit. But this is retain effect to 1 card? No, absolutely not. Here, this is the juicer, I can already tell you. When a creation card evolves into a creation 3 card, retain is triggered. See, this is what we want to go for. So Magna, we're gonna go for copy number 2 as well. Then Malin, Flame Dragon's Sovereignty card now strikes critical hit to defeated targets. What? This card now strikes critical hit to defeated targets. I'm sorry, I have no idea what this means. If the target is defeated, deal a guaranteed critical. That one I understand. But what is... Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to move on from this one. I do not understand what this does. I'm sorry. Then copy number 2, when Malin cards... I play Malin, right? I play her together with Hugo. I play her every single day. But, I mean, yeah. Let's just move on. When Malin's cards deal damage, apply an ember to the target. That is also very, very nuts. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This, when Malin's cards deal damage, apply an ember, that is very, very good. So I can recommend you go for copy number 2. I do not know the value of copy number 1 though. So I don't know if you could stop at 1 or you should always go for 2. Because I do not understand this translation here. Excuse me. Then we have our rodent Veronica. Bombardment trap cards reload is increased by 2, so it would give you 3 reloads. Not bad, not impressive. We don't use this card very, very often anyways. Then whenever an ally uses a targeting attack card, apply a floral scent. A floral scent is a 20% increased damage to our ballistas. And yeah, we can stack floral scent like multiple times upon a target. That is very, very good. So if you're gonna go for copies for Veronica, you definitely wanna go for 2, but it is overall not recommended. Whatever you play her with, it would be better to invest into copies for the characters that you play Veronica with instead of Veronica herself. Alright, then next up we have Renoa. Let's see what she's about. The proportional damage increases effect for Dirge Bullet cards discarded by Last Ditch Assault increases to +20. Alright, Last Ditch Assault. Let's see what this actually is. This one right here. 150% damage, discard all Dirge Bullets and plus 50% damage for that amount. Okay, that is actually really nuts. And the copy increases this damage by not 50 but by 70% if I remember correctly. Yeah. The proportional damage increase effect for Dirge Bullet cards discarded. Yeah, every single bullet that you discard through Last Ditch Assault increases your damage by 20%. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is insane. An insane copy. I would even go as far and say, if you want to play Renoa, you need that copy number 1. Same for Magna, by the way. This is just crazy. Here. Copy number 2. For every 4 Dirge Bullet cards created, creates a Dirge Bullet Finale. What is the Dirge Bullet Finale? Ah, this one right here. 200% damage. When moved to discard, 20 times 2 extra. Whoa, 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 whoa. For every 4 Dirge Bullet cards created, you create one of those Dirge Bullet Finale cards. Not too bad. Also quite nuts, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, copy number 1. You can, yeah, here you can decide for yourself. Like copy number 1, that is absolutely highly recommended. If you play Renoa, get this copy number 1. Copy number 2 is good, but it is not on the level of copy number 1. So you can stop at copy number 1, but copy number 2 is also really, really good. And then, wait a minute, if I'm not mistaken, her ego skill is quite good, right? Wait a minute, let me read her ego skill real quick. It costs only 4 as well. Move all dot from the discard pile and graveyard to hand, 300 damage. Okay, let's check what this does. Damage, plus 200, it is a lot. I would still not call it worth it. Yeah, here I like the recommended value here is stop at 1. 2 and even 3 and stuff are not bad, but I would stop at 1 if I would be you, and then invest into other characters' copies. Okay, let's check out Hugo's ones. Fixes approach cards commence the hunt. Damage increases by 10. Not gonna be worth it. Not bad either, but it's not gonna be worth it. For every 2 times commence the hunt is activated, deal 40% times 2 extra damage to random enemies. If the same target is attacked, gain 1. Wow, okay. Yeah, see? Easy call. You go for 2 copies for Hugo. If you invest into Hugo's copies, you go for 2. Easy fucking call. Yeah, then for Haru, that is one of the characters where you can go fully nuts and you can just never stop going for copies. Yeah, everything is gonna be completely worth it. If you are like, hey, I don't wanna go all the way, then I already checked all of these copies out here, and you can stop at 1, it would be fine. But of course, it's Haru, it's one of the best characters in the game, and every single copy is gonna be worth it. But if you wanna keep it down, right, just get 1 copy, because it gives your anchor shot 30% more damage. If you use lift anchor, that is really, really good, and you could stop here because the second copy is not too impressive. Of course, you can use anchor shot even if you can't pay the required AP cost. But yeah, if you play Haru, you play around it. You will always be able to pay the required AP cost for anchor shot anyways. So having this copy is not too much of a big deal, right? So yeah, go as far as you want, but you can stop at copy number 1. Karin is the same story as Haru, right? When it comes to how far you should go. Here, for him, you should stop at copy number 2 if you don't want to go further down. Because check out copy number 1. When using the Echoes of True Abyss, you create 2 additional futility cards. That is not going to be amazing because you will not be able to pay the required AP cost to get rid of the futility cards. Of course, you can activate Echoes of True Time or Echoes of True Abyss to create these additional 2 futility cards and absorb them then with your ego skill. That would be a good use, but otherwise quite underwhelming here, if I'm being honest. Here's copy number 2 though. This is where shit gets out of control, because for every 2 futility cards used, you will use 2 futility cards very, very often, like almost every single turn. And then you deal 100% damage to all enemies. That is through the roof amazing, right? So definitely get 2 copies for Karin if you play him. At least, even his ego skill here, upgrade, his copy number 3, is gigantic, because your ego skill normally only uses the futility cards in your hand. But with this copy number 3, it also uses the futility cards in your graveyard. That is ridiculous, you know what I mean? But same as Haru, go as far as you possibly somehow can. But if you don't want to go overboard, you can stop at copy number 2 for Karin. Cool. Then we have Nia. Here for Nia, keep in mind that Nia's stonks are rising, at least a little bit. I mean, Yuki is a must skip character. You should under no circumstances pull for Yuki. But if you do, then Nia is a must play together with Yuki. So keep that in mind when we talk about Nia right now. The cost of Nia's curiosity card is reduced by 1. Let's see what this is. Reveal 3 random cards from the draw pile. Choose one to draw, discard the rest. Now, this card already costs 0. Wait a minute. That means it would have to do... No, it costs 1. Ah, it already applies the -1, so you can then play it for 3. Ah, alright, I understand now. Yeah, that is of course absolutely fantastic. Reveal 3 random cards. Yeah, it is an absolutely amazing ability and a big part of her kit as well. So her copy number 1, already outstandingly amazing. Then her copy number 2, whenever a shuffle occurs, gain 4 rhythm boost. At the start of each turn, lose 1. Rhythm boost is plus 5% damage, max 4 stacks. Wait a minute. Oh, these translations are so goddamn fucking ass, dude. Ay. So this is a damage boost by 5% depending on how many stacks you have. You gain 4 stacks and you lose 1 every single turn. Okay, if this counts only for Nia, it's useless trash. If this counts for the entire team, it's of course absolutely amazing. But it is only whenever a shuffle occurs. So, nah. I would highly recommend if you go for copies for Nia, or stop at 1. Increase the level potential. Oh, she does have this at portrait 3, at copy number 3. That is very interesting. But still, yeah, either you stop at copy number 1. If you commit for more than just copy number 1, you should go up all the way to copy number 3. Like, don't get 2 copies and then stop there. Either 1 or 3. That is gonna be the play for Nia. Then next up we have Selena. Let's take a look at her copy number 1. The Sniper's Domain. That is her most important. This is the most important part of her kit. And it gains initiation. Okay, nothing too groundbreaking, but pretty good considering how important Sniper's Domain is. Her copy number 2 says Selena's Mark. Damage is increased by 20%. That is it. That is the big juicer that you have to go for. Because Selena is all about applying marks, and your main DPS can deal, or she herself, can deal more damage by using up these marks. And increasing that damage by 20% per mark is ridiculous. Then she has this special thing here as well, where her copy number 3 is not this kind of useless upgrade for the ego skill, but instead it increases the level potential by 3 for neutral and basic and unique cards. So don't stop at copy number 1. Go for copy number 2. That is the copy that you absolutely want to have for Selena, but you can go for copy number 3 if you so wish. Important is to not stop at 1, but go for 2. Then we have Tresa. I'm interested. Let's see. Decrease the cost of Curse Gouge. For this one right here. Agony Imprint 2 week and you can cast it for free. Okay, not too bad. Not too impressed either though, but very, very good. Copy number 1 for sure. Copy number 2. When using the Shadow Dagger, her main ability, card on a target with Agony, damage is increased by 20%. See, this is again exactly what you want to go for. It's the same story here as for Selena. Let's see. Yeah. And then Ego skill is number 4. Yeah, exact same story as for Selena. If you invest, you don't want to go for just 1 copy, but you want to go for 2. Number 2 is the one that you want, but you can also go for 3 if you wish to do so. Okay, then Amir. That is another character that I would never recommend anyone to commit to play. But let's read it. The Iron Skin card has Finale removed. Its damage reduction increased by 20%, and it now consumes up to a maximum of 3 metal eyes. That sounds really good. The Iron Skin. For 1 turn, damage taken. Okay, that is not like her main juicer ability, but this is a very good copy number 1 nonetheless. It does a lot of things. At the start of the battle, you gain 2 metal eyes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't invest into copies for Amir. Like, absolutely not. I would also not recommend anyone to play Magna, right? But her copy number 1 is actually really, really good. For Amir as well, but it is not on the level of, yeah, I would recommend it if you want to play this character. Just, Amir is just, nah, dude. Let's move on to Lucas. 10% fixed damage for RPG 7. That is really good. When bullet cards are exhausted, 50% fixed damage. When bullets cards are exhausted. Yeah, that is fantastic. Then Lucas's bullet card damage is increased by 20. That is the big juicer that you always want to go for. Fantastic. Very, very good copy number 2. This is the one that you want. And you can see, right? That's what I meant. Like the copies for the characters, they are pretty much everywhere the exact same thing. You see? Sometimes it's copy number 1 that is the big juicer, sometimes it's the copy number 2. And it is always like the main thing that the character does, the damage there is increased by 20% for pretty much every single character, as you might have noticed. Then, yeah, his ego skill is the number 4. Yeah, so you, go for number 2. If you commit, don't stop at 1. And yeah, if you wish to, you can go for 3. You see how simple it is with the copies of the characters, right? You're gonna check the characters, copy number 1 and copy number 2, and you will immediately realize, if you know what the character does, what copy is gonna be the thing that you want. The fixed damage of the Shelter Strike card is increased by 50%. See here, since that's what I meant. That is the perfect example. You have to know what your character is there to do. Now, this portrait 1, or this copy number 1 here for Marbel, that sounds amazing to someone that doesn't know what Marbel is there for. 50% damage increase is crazy nuts. You know what I mean? So if you don't know what Marbel does, you would go for this copy number 1 and stop right here, then and there, without question. But she is not here to deal damage. She is here to provide shields. She has a card that applies more shield than any other character, any other card for any other character in this game would. And this is what Marbel is there for. Not to deal damage. Here, fixed damage equal to 100% of shield owned, and this would increase to, yeah, this 150. It would 100 be normally. So you see, this sounds amazing, but it isn't. Here, see, another 100% perfect example. If you know, then this is the juicer. Marbel's shield gain is increased by 10%. What did I just tell you, right? If you play Marbel, you are all about providing shields. And if you increase the shield providing that you do by 10%, this is exactly what you want, and that is the big juicer. So yeah, here again, if you go and commit to Marbel's copies, you go for number 2. Definitely. 3, if you wish so. You know how this goes by now. Okay. Then we have Mika. Mika, what is she here for? A little bit of healing, but mainly the AP increase. Let's check her copies. Add initiation to the Deluge card. Useless. When Mika takes stress, heal for 200%. And this effect only triggers once per turn. It's okay. Nothing too impressive. Yeah, no, this is no. You should not invest into copies for Mika. Just keep her as she is. Then we have Beryl. She is about like providing huge amount of burst every second turn. You have a card that has retain, and once you retained the card for 1 turn, it increases its damage output. So every second turn, you have a huge amount of burst. Let's check out her copies. Reduces the cost of heavy weapons specialist by 1. So you can cast this one for free. Useless. Pretty much useless. Beryl's retain card damage is in C. You want to retain a card, and when you do, the damage is increased. Here, the damage increases by a further 20%. So copy number 2 is what it's all about. And if you wish, you can go for copy 3. And you know how this goes pretty much, right? Basic rule we can now confirm is you go for copy number 2 and you stop there. That's basically it. As we just figured out together, I guess. Add Graveyard to the target range of the Joker card effect. Yeah, that is of course right. I mean, I think I don't need to explain how amazing this one is. It's absolutely incredible. Heal Cassius by 40% each time he draws with an ability. Yeah, not too bad either. Let's see. And this is the level increase. This is the ego skill. Yeah, the copy number 1 here is a must-have, honestly. And then you can go for number 2 if you wish. At number 2, you should honestly stop. Like this, upgrading the unique and basic card, that is not gonna be worth it. So go for 1 and 2 if you wish. But 1 is the big one. Then we have Owen. The damage and shield gain of the Gale Strike card is increased by 50%. Not impressive. Whenever Owen's Wind Charge card is moved to the hand, deal 80. That is pretty cool, but also not impressive. How often in a match do you gonna draw into Wind Charge? Once? Maybe twice? You know what I mean? Not too great either. So yeah, I would recommend to just keep Owen where he is. He doesn't need any copies. Then we have Ray. It's all about morale boosting. The Predator's Blade card increases morale by 2 for 1 turn. Insane. This is it. This is where you stop. Just gain her copy 1. And that's gonna be about it. Let's still check out copy number 2 though. When Ray uses an attack card, heal. It's not what Ray does. This effect triggers. Yeah, this is trash. It's trash. Yeah, everything is trash. Just get the copy number 1 and you're gonna be fine. The copy number 1 is really, really good though. Like insane. Exactly what Ray is about and what she wants to do. So there we go. That was every single copy for every single character in the game. Now you know how to use your items, your copies, the 3 copies that you obtain in season number 1. Right? Again, let me say that one more time. Of course, you're gonna use the copies for the characters that you already invest in. Your main character, the character that you invested the most amount of resources into by now, that is the character that you go for the recommended copies for. Now you know how many copies for your character are recommended. Cool. In general, you of course, if you have access to like pretty much every single character, right? If you have access to Haru and or Karin, those are the characters that you're gonna invest your copies into, no matter what. No question about that whatsoever. For both of these characters, you can of course go for as many copies as you want. Since we have access to 3, and if you want to invest into both of those, then you go for 1 copy for Haru, and the other 2 go into Karin. And that's how you make the best possible use out of your 3 free copies in Season 1, guys. I hope this video was fun and informative. If you like Chaos Zero Nightmare content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, don't forget to join the Discord server. Link to that in the description down below. While you're there will also be a link to my twitch.tv channel, where I stream this game here every single day for many hours. I will be live on this twitch.tv channel once you watch this video, all the way up to when the maintenance hits. So feel free to stop by, to come in, say hi, hang out with me a little bit. Let's have a chat about the game or about this video or whatever the fuck you want to talk about. Let's hang out a little bit, right? But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and peace and love.